Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Larkin, one half of the Pop Culture History Podcast, and we are back. This is episode number 53. As always, I am joined by the one and only Miss Brittany Savage. Brittany, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Can't complain, but we are not alone for this episode. We are joined by a former NYWC Fusion Heavyweight and Interstate Champion, a former ECWA Unified Heavyweight Champion and Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion, a JAPW Tag Team Champion, an NWA Cyberspace Tag Team Champion. He's fought them all, he's done it all. So it is written, let it be told. We are on the line with the Greek god himself, Papadon. Papadon, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on? What's going on? The pleasure is all yours. But let me ask you something really quick.
Go ahead,
What
sir.
number episode is this? This podcast? 53, you said?
Yeah, this is 53 of these I've done, and then we got Brittany in the cut, so yeah, 53.
So, you're telling me 52 other individuals was your choice before you decided to get Greek God Papadon on your podcast. How dare you?
I'm sorry, yes. I know, that's my fault on that. I know, I'm sorry.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
I was waiting for it too. Oh, man, but it's an absolute pleasure. So, I've been a fan of yours since the NWA Cyberspace days with The Solution. I think when, I believe it was Psycho Circus 06, I got a picture with you guys with The Solution and John Shane. It's somewhere in my photos of wrestling photos. I gotta say, it's an absolute pleasure to be talking with you again, dude. And just, I'm a big fan of your work, Masters of the Mat. Your resume pretty much speaks for itself.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I like the fact that you're a fan. That means you have good taste. I'm actually kind of pleased that I'm talking. I mean, I know Brittany has good taste, but I'm happy I'm talking to someone else with good taste. That means that we're three very highly intelligent people on a conversation today, which is very rare nowadays in these days of ages that we live in.
Hell yeah, man. It's unfortunate, but yeah. So, I will start out by saying this. I'll ask the obvious. Growing up, who were some of your favorite wrestlers, Papadon, that really, got you into getting into the industry that is professional wrestling?
Well, even though I grew up in New York, I wasn't a huge WWF guy. I'm more of an NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions guy.
Yes, sir.
And the match that made me not a big fan, I was already a fan, but the match that made me want to become a wrestler was Sting versus Ric Flair. Now, it's not one of their legendary pay-per-view matches, not Bash the Beach or Great American Bash or Clash of the Champions that they're known for. It was a regular TV match that they had on Channel 11. Came on, I think, Saturday in maybe 12 noon or something like that. I think it was called NWA Power Hour at the time. I don't remember. But, they had a TV match, and I was just enthralled in it, and I got mad because Flair won by putting his feet on the rope. So I fell in love with Sting, went up to my mother, told her, hey, I know what I want to be when I grow up. And, the look on her face, like, doctor, lawyer. She goes, okay, honey, what is it? And I'm like, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. She looked at me, she goes, go play with your toys. So it's basically like that scenario in a Christmas Story where you say, hey, you're going to shoot your eye out, kid. That type of scenario.
So what I want to tell, I got a story for you, sir. NWA Cyberspace. First off, rest in peace to the late great Billy Firehawk.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, you and Havoc, John Shane, doing your thing in there. I remember one event because my buddy was actually at this, and he was actually one who got shoved by your partner Havoc. So it was The Solution versus the Naturals, Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens. Now, you guys had John Shane in your corner, but they had with the one and only Tammy Sitch, Sonny, and her in their corner. So what happened was, I know John was getting in the face of Sonny, and I know Havoc comes out in the end, and he actually pushes a fan at the end of there, and that was actually one of my homies, the one and only Carl Lumbo from the theater at Westbury, who did security at the time. So that always sticks out in my mind because I definitely remember that matchup, and you guys in the Naturals did your thing there. I know you had great matches with Triple X, Christopher Daniels, and Elix Skipper. I do recall John Shane calling them Hassan Benjamin, which I thought was priceless. AMW is another team that sticks out in my mind from that particular promotion. So I just figured I'd share that. Just another classic stuff from NWA Cyberspace.
Well, I appreciate that. NWA Cyberspace was a great company to work for. Billy Firehawk was a great individual. Unfortunately, the only gripe I had with Billy was he wasn't able to separate being a fan and being a businessman. And, the way this world works, no one focuses on all the positives. If you have one negative, that's what everyone harpers on. And that's what they were doing with Billy. And a lot of the people were giving him a lot of heat for being, in the crowd during NWA TNA pay-per-views with replica titles and all this nonsense, and at the same time running a promotion. But, that's not the point. The point is that he was a great guy. He ran a great company. We had a great time. And a lot of talent you see on TV today, were in cyberspace. Little known fact, my buddy John Shane at one point was helping with the book, and him and Derek Gordon, another buddy of mine, what's up, Derek? Hope you hear this. Big shout out. They were looking to make a new champion. They didn't want the same old people holding the belt. And and John right away said, let's give Bobby Roode a shot. So Bobby Roode had one of his many first title runs, and because of John Shane in cyberspace. So a little trivia question, right? A little trivia for you if you didn't know that.
Nice. Yeah, there were a lot there, dude. I remember Slick Wagner Brown, April Hunter was there, Julio De Niro, Billy Gunn did some stuff down there, a lot of them. Yeah, absolutely. In the cyberspace world. Also, what I wanted to ask you about is, we talk about NYWC. First of all, talk about your first early experiences in the NYWC ring. I know you did some stuff with your solution there, and then you just transformed into the Greek God, Master of the Mat, Fusion Champ, Interstate Champ, then working your way to the Heavyweight Championship. Just talk about your early days in the NYWC.
Well, let me correct you. Two-time Master of the Mat winner.
Thank you, my apologies.
You're welcome. Former heavyweight champ, former interstate champ, and I totally forgot about that one. Former fusion champion. So, NYWC, in my opinion, is wrestling's best kept secret. Meaning that a lot of people don't really know about the company, but they ought to know about it. They have a tremendous array of talent in the locker room. Great guys running the company and the actual school. If anyone's interested in becoming a pro wrestler in Long Island, I always recommend two schools, NYWC being the first and Creative Pro being the second. NYWC is, it's my home. I've been there forever since day one, and they basically built the company, around me and a couple of other guys, meaning that we were there since day one, so everything else built around us. Not saying that they built it on me, and everything revolves around me. What I'm saying is there's only like a certain select few guys that's been there since day one that are still there. But NYWC is tremendous. I mean, if you guys want, it's www.nywcwrestling.com for details and address. They're in Deer Park. Their head trainers right there are Bull James, former NXT talent, Stockade, another individual who was there a long time and is an icon in NYWC. And, other guys always stop by. They produce such talents as Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder,
Matt Stryker.
No, Stryker was a Johnny Rods guy. Then he went to the Doghouse, and that's where him and I became buddies.
Okay.
And then he started going to NYWC. So his roots actually go from the Johnny Rods school. But he's there. He's definitely an NYWC guy. They also produced Mike Mondo, and then Trent Beretta, Tony Nese. So there's a wide array of guys who've gotten a break because of the school, because they were taught correctly. They're all under the tutelage of Mikey Whipwreck, my mentor. A big shout out to Mikey. He was one of my trainers, him and Homicide. Originally, I'm from the Doghouse.
Yeah.
So I trained the Doghouse with Homicide. I was there for X amount of years until the place closed down. One of the very few OGs from the Doghouse. And then, when the Doghouse closed down and lost their lease, that's when Havoc and I went to NYWC to continue our training over there.
Nice. You also mentioned those early names. For me, it goes back to, because I started going to NYWC in my early teens, like 05, 06. I remember guys like Dickie Rods. I remember guys like Mason Rage. Javier was doing his thing there. Guys like Jamie Van Leemer. Just a lot of great talents that came in the early stages of NYWC.
A
Even
lot of
when,
great guys, a lot of great talent, absolutely.
yeah, dude.
I mean, unfortunately, not everyone's over there. Everyone has their own lives to live, and people go in different directions. But the one thing that stays constant in NYWC is professionalism and the talent. It's second to none, you know?
Exactly. You mentioned great names there. One of them being Tony Nese, and you also mentioned Drew Gulak, two guys that you've worked with many a times. What are your thoughts on how they're doing right now? They're on WWE doing their thing in 205 Live. Thoughts of working with Nese and Gulak?
I'm proud of them both. I mean, number one, they're both very talented. Number two, they're both great guys outside of the ring. They don't have egos. They're always there to help people. You know, they're always there to give back to the business. So I'm very proud of them, and whatever success comes their way, they've earned it, you know. And I'm glad they're doing what they're doing on television. I mean, I've always said that, you know, Tony should have been signed years before they actually gave him the ball, and not signing him when I thought they should have signed him was one of their biggest mistakes. I mean, but let's face it. I mean, in my opinion, you know, WWE doesn't always bat 1,000 with their decisions, unfortunately, but no one really does. So, but yeah, anyhow, but I'm happy for them. I'm happy for their success. I mean, they're stealing the show every night. They're doing their thing. You know, Tony looks like $1 million. He's one of my greatest opponents. You know, every time we step into the ring together, we always tore it up and stole the show. You know, hopefully, the only thing I can say is I hope I get an opportunity to showcase my talent in the WWE ring alongside him or against him, and then people on the national level can see something that great.
Two other ones I want to ask you about, Papadon, is one who's actually on the rise on the indie scene now. He's come from Creative Pro. He's done some shows for you guys as well in NYWC. He's been all over the place. Talk about working with one MJF, now Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Well, Max is he's a good hand. I mean, he's a great wrestler. He makes the most of the situation. He's getting around. He's making a name for himself. I see nothing but bright things in his future. But to be honest with you, I mean, he was trained by Kurt Hawkins. So Kurt Hawkins obviously knows what he's doing. He's in WWE right now. He has a great school, a great mind. He's a student from Mikey Whipwreck, you know, product NYWC. So it all comes back to Mikey, you know. And then obviously in this business, anyone you could train anyone to wrestle, but it takes a real true talent how to work, and that means how to manipulate the audience into getting the results that you want. Not many workers out there, and not to toot my own horn, but toot. I'm one of the guys that I consider a worker, and a lot of people do as well. You know what I'm saying? And MJF, he keeps doing what he's doing. He's gonna be very successful. I mean, the kid has a good grasp of fundamentals and knowing how to work, and not just wrestle.
All right, and another, I wanted to talk about a veteran you've actually been in the ring with. We've seen the evolution of this guy for many years, whether it be in the WWE. Just talk about working with the great Goldust, Dustin Runnels.
Oh, Roy Dustin's a sweetheart. He's a class act. He's a professional. I mean, we had a tremendous match in Connecticut, and it was a lot of fun. And one of the things that took me, actually made me take a step back, was when I got to the show. You know, you shake everyone's hand, you say hello, you get settled in the locker room, and then he walked in, got settled. I walked up to him and said, "Hey man, nice to meet you. I'm Jimmy." And we spoke for like 2 seconds, you know. And he's like, "Yeah man, I've seen your stuff. You're really, really good." I said, "All right man, thanks, cool." So I'm thinking it's the typical guy from WWE or from TV, has the ABC match, you're inserting the US like here, and it's the same match over and over again. Boy, was I wrong. And that's where this guy just totally blew me away and earned my respect 1,000,000% over. And like I said, he's a worker. He's not a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? And just because a guy can do a flip and can choreograph a match, a 6-minute match, doesn't necessarily make him a good talent. Just knows that he knows how to remember things for 6 minutes, and he can do a flip. But point being is, when we went to go put a couple things together, he looked at me and goes, "Hey man, why don't you put it together?" He goes, "I trust you. I've seen your stuff. You're really good. You should be on TV with us." So I said, "Wow." You know, I was like, "Dude, that's the biggest compliment anyone's ever given me. Thank you." So we threw the match together. He liked my ideas, and then we went out there and hit a home run and stole the show and had a great match. And every time I see him, it's always, hey, how you doing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it was one of the highlights of my career as wrestling him because he was totally chill, no ego whatsoever, trusted people, trusted new talent, gave back to the business. Because, you get in a locker when you wrestle with someone who's not very familiar with you, meaning that they haven't wrestled you a million times, or they haven't been in the business as long as you, so their experience level isn't at your level. This individual, whether it's a female or a male, will get nervous, it's just human nature. So him being able to tell me, I've seen your stuff, you're very good, you should be on TV, and I'll let you put the match together. You tell me what you want to do, and if it's cool, then yeah, we'll do it. And he didn't shoot down any of my ideas because, he liked everything that I spit out. I'm not trying to put myself over in that, but I'm just saying, and, it was a cool experience all in all. We went out there and couldn't complain. Couldn't have won any better. I mean, the only way it could have been better is if there was millions of people there and I got paid $1 million. That could have been a lot better fun.
You mentioned we also talked about training before. If you want to talk about one of the best trainers, I remember watching MTV True Life, I Want to Be a Pro Wrestler. You got to give props to the great Les Thatcher for HWA. I've listened to his stories. I know him and Mike Johnson do Wrestlers iRadio on PW Insider. Just a great mind for the business. You got to give a shout out to the great Les Thatcher.
Listen, I threw this on social media maybe a couple weeks ago. It was a picture. How everyone's had the I'm a Paul Heyman guy on a T-shirt, and everyone else, basically mocked it and made their own version. Mm-hmm. Someone put I'm a Les Thatcher guy. Took it, threw it up there, and I basically put wasn't trained by Les by any means necessary, but I am a Les Thatcher guy because Les is a gentleman, a class act, a true professional, and something that this business needs. Because if everyone in this business acted like Les Thatcher, then this business would be 100 times better. I had the opportunity of working with Les and Nigel McGuinness, and they were doing the Wrestling Cares tournament. It was a year-long tournament, and only a select group of talent were in the tournament. It was the best locker room of talent. Guys like Tony Nese, Alex Reynolds, myself, Gargano, what's his name? Adam Cole.
Yep.
And the list goes on and on. I mean, Adam Pearce. There was just a wide array of time, East Coast, West Coast. So it was a great time. And the first time I met Les, we sat down, we spoke. It was down in Charlotte at the NWA Legends Fest because they were doing one of the matches for the tournament there. So we were talking about wrestling, and we hit it off. And that night, they were doing the introductions to the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Heroes Hall of Fame that they do every year at the NWA Legends Fest. So I wanted to go, but I didn't have a ticket. No problem. He took me in. He let me sit with him and his family. Introduced me to everybody. Introduced me to Tully Blanchard, one of the guys that I idolized growing up. And basically, he said, and I quote, direct quote, he goes, "Hey, Tully, I want you to meet somebody. This is Jimmy Papadon. He's really good. He should be on TV. I just wanted you to meet him so you guys could say hello." My mouth dropped. I was like, wow. I didn't expect such an intro. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how you doing? How you doing, Mr. Blanchard? Big fan. Fan of your work. I said, thanks, kid. Great to meet you. Hope everything works out. And then, he went up the hill for his business and took care of what he had to do. He had to induct Magnum TA that night. But the fact that he met me one day and we hit it off and he let me sit with his family, I'm old school. It's all about respect for me. I don't care about nonsense and shenanigans and he said, she said, malarkey. You treat me right, I'm going to treat you right. You treat me wrong, then, I'll be your worst enemy. But for this individual who has such a vast history and so much respect from all his peers throughout the business, that just let me sit with his family. You know what I mean? That was a big honor, and working with him was a big honor. And I'm very fortunate to consider him a friend. So I'm very honored to just be a part of his life and have him in my life. So thank you, Les. I love you, brother.
All right. A couple of final wrestling.
Sorry, it was a little long-winded, but, it's from the heart.
Hey, please. We're going to get to some last wrestling stuff here. Then we're going to get into the pop culture side of things here. I wanted to ask you also. I know you did some stuff with the Big O recently, and I know you just had a match with Dave Christ of OVE. Talk about working with the Big O and Dave Christ.
Well, Dave Chris didn't happen.
Oh, I'm
Unfortunately,
sorry.
he got into a car accident
Oh,
on his way to the airport. It's all right. He's fine. I mean, he's fine from what I understand. But, you know, it didn't ever happen. So, I wrestled him with his brother in CZW when I was teaming with Pepper Parks, who's now Braxton Sutter on TNA.
Yep.
We had a little tag team going called The God, The Body. No, it was The Body, The Bomb, and The God. Because it was myself, Pepper, and Cherry. Now Allie, Braxton, and myself, and we wrestled. They were OI4K at the time instead of OVE, and we had a great match with them then. So I was looking forward to the match, but unfortunately, like I said, the guy got into a car accident, didn't make it. But I had a good match that night anyway. So I ended up wrestling Mike Orlando, who's an up-and-comer with a bright future, very talented guy. And we that night, in my opinion, there was 3 matches that stood out that entire night. One of them was my match, and I'm not just saying it because it was mine. I'm just going off the feedback that everyone gave me. The other one was Bull versus Joey Ryan. Bull James versus Joey Ryan. One of the most entertaining matches I've ever seen in my 18-year career. It was fantastic. And from what I understand, the other one was the 6-man tag with Alex Reynolds, Mega, and Blake Morris versus, I forgot who it was. I think it was some of the NYWC students or whatever the case may be. But, yeah. So that's that. But as far as Big O, working Big O and having good matches with Big O, giving him the best matches of his career, was a lot of fun. I know Adam, since he started, he gets a bad rap, unfortunately. Guy looks like $1 million. But, you know, I knew what to expect when I met him. He's a typical Long Island meathead. So, you know, if you go into something with no expectations and then you realize that he wasn't a wrestling fan. He came into this business because he was friends with Zack Ryder. And Zack Ryder, he was doing this show, and he became an internet sensation. And then from there, you can't knock the guy's hustle. The guy knows how to make money, and he's a businessman, and he does what's right for his pockets. You know, and every show, he has fans at the show, his little ozone militia, whatever he calls them, and, you know, he's over with them. So it is what it is. But the matches were a lot of fun. You know, O's always showed me respect, and I always showed him respect. He's a good dude outside the ring. I consider him a friend. You know, a lot of people like talk shit about people. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse. Talk trash. You know, they talk trash about people behind their back in the locker room. You know, not everyone likes everybody. Not everyone has to get along. But it is what it is. That's the nature of the beast. But in my opinion, Big O's a stand-up guy.
all right. So, speaking of, by the way, I've seen you guys fight before, Mike Orlando. Mike Orlando is a great talent, and I saw him, I forgot which show it was, but I know you were managed by John Shane against him, and you guys had a great match.
Oh, yeah, that was at NYWC. Yes, it was. And this time it was a little different, because there was no John Shane, and I was the heel. He was the babyface, and we blew that match away. This one was even better. So it was really good.
All right. First of all, I'll address both of you two, both Papadon and Miss Brittany Savage on this one. How about that karaoke jam?
It was fun.
Yes, it was. I saw footage online. It was tremendous. I got to give you guys props. That was tremendous.
Thank you. Yes,
thank you.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Everybody in that ring is a good time. So it was an honor to be in the ring with everybody, especially like Rick. I couldn't help but laugh. So it was fun.
I could tell that was tremendous.
Special because it was the first one ever, so it was cool.
And now you guys are doing a Halloween costume contest. I believe you guys are judges for next week.
Yes, we are judges for next weekend for the first ever Halloween costume contest. Looking forward to it. Should be fun. I think it'll be just as fun as the karaoke jam.
All right.
Do you believe she wanted to have Bo James dressed up as Twilight?
Oh my, dude! I watched the video. It was entertaining. I'm watching this and I'm watching her and Bo interact, and then I blame you, Savage, because I do not want to see that man as My Little Pony too. What in the world?
Why? I think it would be fun. It's a hot new movie that just came out.
Make it
Well,
stop.
to be fair, Bo is a brony. He does have a My Little Pony kind of. And you heard it here first, straight out of the mouth of the Greek god Papadon. Bo James is a big brony. Bo James, I'm sorry. Bo
From Pritchard.
is a big brony. He's into My Little Pony. He's a furry too. but he doesn't let people know that.
Oh my god! But yes, you guys with the Beer Belly Band, it's, as I said, it's probably one of the most entertaining acts in NYWC. I love it. Britt, as always, I give you your props with that. You guys are really doing your thing.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Please. As I said, I've been a fan since 05 and 06 with NYWC. One of my favorite moments is probably one Mikey Whipwreck. I remember he wrestled a match with Dan Dynasty, and we were actually close by this. So they're coming around, they're doing the typical brawl in the crowd. Then all of a sudden, Mikey just throws the fireball right in Dan Dynasty's face, and that breeze just came right past us. And I'm like, man, that was a moment for me. Got to see a little fireball action there. So yeah, I go back with it. I love it. You guys have just NYWC is just great. It's really all I could say. Self-explanatory.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's not only just Britt and myself. It's a whole locker room.
The whole roster, yeah.
Yeah, even the people behind the scenes, you know, guys like Shane and Curse and Forge and Joey Bernard, you know, and anyone else who helps out from the students setting up the ring and cleaning up the school, you know, and guys, you know, like Will James and Stockade helping with the training, you know, it's teamwork, it's family, it's a dysfunctional family, but it's family.
Speaking of teamwork, Pop, I gotta ask you about this, man. What do you think about that American Top Team that we got now with Impact Wrestling doing their thing with Bobby Lashley? I mean, those guys are badass. What do you think about the American Top Team?
I think the American Top Team made a very smart decision by hiring my buddy Stevie Richards and helping them out with their strength and conditioning.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you're aware of that, because Stevie Richards, myself, Big Sal from FBI, Sal Graziano, and Ben Hamin, we have a weekly podcast we're called The Conspiracy Horsemen, and we tackle conspiracy theories on the podcast every week. So one of the weeks, one of the guys from Top Team, John Hartnett, came on, and we were talking about the Vegas shooting and it being a false flag. And, you know, cool guy, cool team. I mean, it's a cool little angle that they're doing. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to actually be in Florida. I told him to come down to the show. November 18th for Ronin. So he says, hey, man, we're just a hop and a skip away. I was like, well, come to the show. He goes, yeah, if you want to come by and roll around, let me know. I was like, all right, cool. So there's a good chance I might go there and roll around with the Top Team, show them what the Greek God's all about. But we'll see.
All right. So now is the time we'll get to the pop culture side of things. First off, I will say this to you, Miss Brittany Savage.
Did you know hold on, bud. Did you know Greeks invented pop culture?
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
All right, good.
That's interesting.
Oh man. Okay. So anyway, Britt, how about that cliffhanger on Fuller House, man?
How about what?
How about that cliffhanger on Fuller House?
Yeah, I love that show. I've always been a fan of it growing up, and I can't wait for the new season coming up. It's like a cliffhanger, but they're not going to release it for like a few months, I think. So, but
yeah, I mean,
I love that they did a whole karaoke segment right before we had to do our karaoke jam again. I thought that was perfect.
Well, come on, man. Fernando and the Funkettes, living La Vida Loca. Hey.
It was hilarious.
It was tremendous. Okay, did you enjoy that whole, what was it, the best day ever thing that they did at like the first episode where the kids just doing the musical type of thing? Did you enjoy that as well?
Oh, yes, of course. If I knew the words, I would have totally sang along with the kid, but I did not know the words. I think it's like a new song, but it was cool.
Here's the thing. How different is it? Because, you know, you have that image of Full House with John Stamos, Bob Saget, and Dave Coulier singing Elvis's Teddy Bear, you know, to Michelle while she's going to sleep. And then you see Jesse do it with Candace Cameron Bure and Jodie Sweetin in there. Do you kind of feel like, because, you know, the nostalgia or just, you know, because it's kind of missing Saget and Coulier, or you thought they did a good job? Because I personally thought they had a nice little rendition to it.
It was different. I like the fact that, you know, they can take it from Full House and bring it into Fuller House. It just made me feel completely old, but it was it's cool that they do it like that they can bring something from the past and present it in the future. Present, sorry. Yes.
And personally, I really don't care that Mary-Kate and Ashley are not all that, because they're just being, you know, whatever about that. But still, they don't need to be on as of this part now, no.
Yeah, I mean, the show was doing completely fine with or without them. So, I mean, the fact that they couldn't make an appearance, at least one appearance for the first ever Fuller House, it's kind of sad because that's where they got their start, and that's where a lot of people forget. Like Jimmy was talking about people with egos and stuff. You just have to remember where your roots came from. And unfortunately, that's something that they can't remember because, the fame and everything. So it's sad, but whatever. The show is a success without them.
Yeah, I had to figured I'd mention that since you had to put on the Twitter of Fernando and oh my God, it was just great. I love it. Just say no more. Say no more. My goodness.
I was dying. And then the whole Aladdin thing with DJ and Steve.
Oh my God.
Oh, it wasn't Aladdin. Sorry. Was it Aladdin? What was the song?
Oh no, Summer,
yeah,
not.
Yeah.
Summer Lovin'. Yes.
Yes.
Classic. You know what I did? Okay. I watched this as well. I did not watch TRL. I had that on for 5 seconds. It's not the same. I'm sorry. As soon as I saw Little Yachty come on my TV, I'm like, I'm switching this. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I'm not.
I don't even know what a Little Yachty is.
Thank you. It's one of this mumble rap bull crap.
Listen,
go ahead, Papadon.
Little Yachty has a face you just want to punch.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And you know what? If anyone knows him and hears this, you can tell him that the Greek god first he said it himself, and I have no problem doing it because he's an idiot and he can't even rap. It's retarded. Okay,
Papadon, I'm gonna get you on this rap, man, because I'm old school rap. I love me some. You got your Wu-Tang Clan, your ODB, may he rest in peace. You got your Nas's, you got your Eminems, you got your Dr. Dre, your Snoop Dogg's, your Tupac's, your Biggies, your Craig Max, even if you want to throw them in there. What the hell happened to the rap game, man?
It went downhill, dude. Just like everything else, it's cyclical. Right now it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you gonna do? I mean, look. I'm very fortunate. I mean, I grew up listening to 90s rap, and I'm a big rap guy. I love music in general.
Yeah.
Even though what's her name? Oh man.
Which one?
Marty Bell thought I didn't like music. She thought I was too serious. Her, myself.
Oh man.
And Justin, what do you call it? Myself, Marty Bell, and oh man. Her ex-boyfriend. What's her ex-boyfriend's name? He's a good dude. Oh, he was in SCW.
Matt?
What's his name? Matt. Yeah, Matt. Yeah. But Matt, I'm trying to remember his last name. Matt Justice. That's right.
Yeah.
I can remember the Justice part. So we did a trip, road trip, and then we got in the car. He's like, he goes, I wish I had my Metallica. I said, oh man, I wish you had it too. He goes, wait a minute, what? He goes, I told you, Marty Bell. And I was like, wait, what are you guys talking about? He goes, yeah, Marty thought you didn't like music because you're always so serious in the locker room for wrestling. I was like, who doesn't like music? I was like, are you kidding me?
You just drive with no music and looking all serious? Is that what you do?
No, not at all. I'm all music. But, yeah, man, like I was saying, 90s hip-hop, dude, you can't beat it. In my opinion, and this is my top 5 rappers of all time. Number 1 is Biggie. Number 2 is Rakim. Number 3 is Eminem. Number 4 is KRS-One. And number 5 is Nas.
Okay.
So those are my top 5.
Well, Pop, what about Tribe Called Quest? You got to also throw Q-Tip in that as well.
Yeah, but they're a group.
Yeah.
They're in the top 5 group. And I'm talking about single rappers. I mean, best groups of all time, you have Run DMC, Wu-Tang Clan, Tribe Called Quest, the Beastie Boys, and maybe EPMD.
What about Naughty by Nature?
And they're up there, but they're not. I thought EPMD was much better.
Okay. For me, I gotta say, for solo stuff and rap back in the day, I was a big LL Cool J dude. I loved, I'm Bad, Mama Said Knock You Out, all that good stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely top 10.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, he's a nominee for the 2018 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, or next year, I should say.
Oh.
LL Cool J.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, LL's one of them. I mean, I think a lot of them are calling it like mumble rap now. It sucks. I cannot listen to rap music. Personally, I can't even listen to the radio anymore. I go to my Sirius on the radio, man.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are saying that. Like, the whole mumble rap movement is garbage. Rock now is garbage. I mean, even now with all this auto tunes and everyone's trying to sing on hip hop songs, garbage. It's really, really bad, man. But what are you gonna do? I mean, Wu-Tang just dropped a new song with Redman on it, and it's fantastic. I mean, who knows? It could be the spark that we need to get rap back where it used to be. And from what I understand, their new album, the saga continues. I don't know if it dropped yet, but their new album that's coming out is produced by this guy Mathematic, and I heard it's one of their best albums since their first albums. So this could be something that launches a new direction for everybody. You know, who knows?
One thing that really made me sick, guys, is so MTV put out a new show called 90s House. And it's all these millennials now who, they take away their phones and stuff, and they're with all the stuff from the 90s. Your faxes, your AOLs, your this and that. And it's hosted by Lance Bass and Christina Milian. And first of all, when I think about that, I'm like, wait a minute, Christina Milian is more like 2000, 2001 from AM to PM, but okay, we'll ignore that fact. But it's just garbage, and it just makes me mad with the millennials nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, man. A lot of things on TV are garbage. Reality TV is not even reality TV. That's all garbage. I mean, why do you think Game of Thrones and all those shows, The Flash,
yep.
I'm a big comic books geek, The Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all these shows, why do you think they're doing so well in the ratings? This Is Us, another great show.
Yep.
Why are they doing so? Because they're all sitcoms. People love to escape reality. People are tired of escaping reality. The fact that people like, the Kardashians, the baby, what's her name? The blonde hair lady with the baby, Honey Boo Boo, whatever. People made money.
Oh yeah.
The fact that these people made money is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how these people are making money and putting on crap on TV and they're calling that entertainment. But you know what it is? It's a car crash. A good analogy that Jim Cornette says, and same thing when it comes to certain things that he related to wrestling. It's like watching two dogs, humping on the side of the road. The first time you see it, you're amazed. You've never seen it before. Two dogs humping. Oh my God. Second time you see it, you walk by, you're like, oh, they're still at it. Good for them. The 10th time you just walk by, you don't even pay any attention to it because you've already seen it. And that's what I think is going on with reality TV right now. Because we've had our time where people were amazed because of it, and couldn't turn the channel, but now they're just tired of it. I mean, everything. That's with everything. Wrestling, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
My thoughts, yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. As far as the wrestling goes, yeah, sometimes I just shake my head and I wonder why the hell do I watch this. But yeah, it's come to that part as far as pro wrestling goes. You know what I'm saying? As far as what we have on TV with Raw, SmackDown, Impact, Lucha Underground. Well, some Lucha Underground is good, but yeah, just some of it is just, I don't know, man. You know what it is? It's just, yeah. But one thing I got to ask you on a sidebar. What were your thoughts about the Jim Cornette-Santino Marella altercation that we had at that convention this week?
Well, I didn't know anything about it. I heard that I know the original altercation back in OVW. I don't know what happened this weekend.
Okay, so apparently Cornette and Santino were at some convention in Detroit. Santino put his hand out just to shake his hand, and Jim Cornette pretty much just said, you were the reason, I was happy that I got out of there. You did it inadvertently. I always thought you were a joke. And then pretty much Santino's like, well, we could just settle this because, Jim Cornette was just being Jim Cornette is pretty much the best way to sum it up. And just, yeah, and then security got involved, and Jim Cornette left, and Santino left. I don't know. It's just one big mess. So, yeah, Cornette is at it again, and Santino. So, yeah, it's your typical Jim Cornette stuff.
Listen, you know what? A lot of people knock Jim Cornette.
And I personally like him.
For the way, I personally like him as well, too. I think a lot of things that he say make sense. As far as his take on religion and politics, I don't agree with. That's neither here or there. But as far as wrestling goes, a lot of things he says make sense because it's fundamentals, man. It's not rocket surgery or brain science. It's just wrestling. It's simplistic. You know who does the best professional wrestling right now? You want to know who's the best professional wrestling to watch?
Go ahead.
UFC.
Hmm?
UFC does pro wrestling better than pro wrestling does pro wrestling.
Very true on that. Very true. I love me some UFC. I know Stephan Bonner's coming in for Impact Wrestling. I've loved Chuck Liddell back in the day. Randy Couture's, Brock Lesnar did a great job in the UFC. And just Ronda Rousey, those girls. Just all of them, man. Holly Holm, just tremendous, tremendous athletes. I love me some UFC.
Well, it's because they do, I personally think it's work. People think I'm nuts, but whatever.
Oh, no, I
that's
think
not the
so,
point.
too. I'm in agreement. On
But
that.
what I personally think the reason why they're so successful is because people want to see people in a real fight. They want to see an athletic sporting competition, confrontation, and in combat. So when you put all the smoke and mirrors to it and make it look all artsy fartsy and turn it into sports entertainment, you know what I'm saying? People are going to either love it or they're going to hate it. There's no in between. But certain people who watch UFC, the diehards love it. Very few dislike it because it's reality. It's real. It's two guys fighting in a cage. And more people are more inclined to watch it because they want to see, let's see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Those who jump in and out here and there and don't watch it religiously. But, let's face it. It's like back in the day, Roman times, they used to have gladiators fight each other, feed people to the lions. It used to be a big draw, because there was people love to watch that type of stuff. Wrestling, unfortunately, now it's become like the circus, and unfortunately there's only one main company on TV that offers a great product. And you know what I'm saying? It's like ice cream. Everyone has their favorite flavor. Not everyone's going to love vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry. But after a while, you get tired of eating vanilla every day. You're going to want to try chocolate. But if they're all out of chocolate and they're all out of strawberry, then you're just stuck with vanilla. And you might say to yourself, I had enough vanilla. I think I'll go have a cupcake instead, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Mm. But yeah, absolutely. Just you guys talk about UFC being a work. I don't think you guys are wrong on that. I definitely would agree with you on that. But I do enjoy the entertainment of both. A lot of people try to pick sides with both UFC and professional wrestling. Personally, I love them both. I like to have my cake and eat it too. I enjoy both the UFC.
Oh no, dude! I'm not saying that you have to love one or hate
exactly.
the other. You
love
everything.
Absolutely.
I'm a Mets fan, right? But I also love the Yankees.
Yep, me too.
People think I'm nuts.
Yeah.
But the only reason why I love the Yankees is because one, their tradition. You can't hate on their tradition because if you hate on their tradition and all the great players they had, you're basically hating on the sport of baseball because the Yankees are baseball, whether you like it or not. Two, they're New York. I'm a New Yorker. It's in my blood. I'm not going to root for a team in New York that's from New York at all. I'm not going to root against them. You know what I'm saying? But if the Mets play the Yankees, I'm always going to root for the Mets first because I grew up in Queens. So, it's not like I grew up in the Bronx. And the first team I came out to was the 86 Mets. If it wasn't for cocaine, which was the MVP of the 86 Mets, we wouldn't watch the 86 Mets. They wouldn't have won the World Series. So I was entertained. So forever, my memory is the 86 Mets, and that's why I'm a ride or die Mets fan.
I think it's funny.
They suck.
Yes. And I think it's funny, too, that you mentioned that as well, because, people look at you like you're nuts. Man, when I was a kid, I liked both, like you. I liked the New York Mets, and I liked the New York Yankees. I had the friggin' jackets. And same with football. I liked the Giants, and I liked the Jets. I had the shirts, you name it. And the same with hockey. I have Islanders, and I have Rangers wear. So, hey, there you go, People think you're nuts, but hey, you like what you like.
Listen, man, and this is just me being me. And what I'm about to say is it's truth and it's knowledge. So everyone grab a pen and paper and write it down and take note because it's going to change your life. The way the world is today and those who run the world, okay, and I'm not talking about the President of the United States and I'm not talking about your parents or whatever. The people who really, really, really run this world, the global elite bankers that run this world, the corporations, people like the Illuminati, whatever. But point being is that they select few that make the world go round and have enough influence and power to make things go a certain way. They want division among the masses. They want people either red or blue, Republican, Democrat, Mets, Yankees, good, evil, Jedi, Sith, DC, Marvel. They don't want people just to be open-minded and see things from all angles and like everything and not hate anything. Because a house divided can't win. That's why there is 1% of the population of this world have more money than like 90% of the entire world, and that's the way they want it. Because they know if everyone's fighting for the crumbs, they won't be able to have a piece of the pie. That's exactly what's going on with the independent wrestling. You have all these freaking promoters trying to be the Vince McMahon, but they can't get their head out of their ass. And they're always arguing with other independent promotions instead of working together and drawing bigger crowds together and putting on great shows together. They decide to fight and run shows on the same day and split fans, and then no one makes money. While Vince is in his office, laughing his ass off because he's putting on, not the best product that he could possibly put on, and he knows it, and he doesn't care because he doesn't have to. Where are they going to go? If you can't get the guys to work together and make money together, then and they can't draw houses and they can't build talent and put on quality products, what are you going to do? You're going to keep going to the pinnacle, and that's WWE. And WWE will do whatever they want to do because they know they can. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
See, man?
Yeah, that was words of wisdom from Papadon. Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, from Aristotle to Plato to Papadon, the Greeks always are on point with their philosophy games and their worldviews. I mean, we mended this world. We gave you guys everything on a silver platter, and people just go ahead and fuck it up. We guys gave the world democracy, and look what we're doing now. We gave you guys the Olympics. We gave you guys wrestling. We gave you guys drama, astrology, advances in medicine. I can go on and on and on and on. But you know what? There's a time limit to the show, so I don't want to bore people. But you shouldn't bore people. Here's your number one history lesson. Greeks invented everything. That's it. Now you're a historian. You'll pass every test.
Well, I will say this to you. I got to ask, since you're talking about, you're into comics, give me some of your top 5 favorite comics, man.
Like what? Like titles or heroes or?
It could be just in general. Yeah, just in general. Your titles, heroes, could be. Yeah.
I'm a big Batman fan. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I love the X-Men. Wolverine's my favorite hero. I liked, I was there when Image took off, I have like 4,000 books I don't collect anymore, but I have like 4,000 books, 14 long boxes in my house, tons of statues. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so Star Wars is definitely up there, I draw comics. Brittany knows. She's seen my drawings,
Mm-hmm.
So, it's comics and wrestling go hand in hand. What wrestling is a come-to-life comic. You have your hero, you have your villain. That's all you need, Except instead of on a 32-page comic, it's in a ring, And instead of having superpowers, we hit each other with steel chairs. So.
Yeah. Definitely agree with you on the Batman. I was always a Spider-Man kid growing up. And I got to say, when we did the movie stuff, I always enjoyed, the Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst from 1 through 3. When the dude from the Social Network came in, I was kind of like, But yeah, I was kind of done with Spider-Man, like after Spider-Man 3. I don't know how you guys felt on that.
How dare you? How dare you? First of all, Andrew Garfield blew away Tobey Maguire's performance, bar none. He was tremendous. Unfortunately, the suit in the first Amazing Spider-Man was the drizzling shits.
Yes.
And then the second movie, they hit the suit spot on, and it was, tit for tat, the best Spider-Man suit in a movie ever. But the movie storyline sucked because what it was basically a setup for a movie that never happened. Spider-Man 1 and 2 under the Sam Raimi era with Tobey Maguire were good. Not bad at all, don't get me wrong. But, Tobey Maguire was like 75 years old playing Spider-Man. Then you had Spider-Man 3, which was the drizzling shit.
Yep.
If you have seen, the storyline was just horrible. They picked a toothpick to play Venom. If you're going to pick someone to play Venom, what I see Brock Lesnar playing Venom. That's Venom. I see a big, massive guy that will just block out the sun attacking Spider-Man. That's Venom. Hopefully, when they do this Venom movie now at Sony Pictures and they got Tom Hardy to play Venom, who knows? Hopefully that might work out. But I don't know. But
Tom Hardy is a great villain.
He is.
Yeah, he is. But he's only 5'8".
Villain. Yeah, but he made a great Bane.
He did. I'm not He did, even though it was a different take. Even though Bane is really a Mexican luchador, it was a different take on Bane. But Tom Hardy's a great actor. He's a fantastic actor. So I'm not mad at the choice for him picking him. I mean, it could be worse. They could have picked Topher Grace to be Venom again. You know what I mean? The guy from that '70s show, which was crack, just shitty. But you know, it is what it is. But this new Spider-Man film, Homecoming, that came out, was by far the greatest Spider-Man film ever made. And the kid who plays Spider-Man now, forgot the dude's name, Tom Holland. He's doing a fantastic job, and in my opinion, is the best Spider-Man out of all of them.
So,
I have to watch, because honestly, like, after the whole Tobey Maguire thing, I was like, I've never watched Spider-Man ever again because it ruins it. But now I'll have to keep my eye out and watch it.
Exactly.
Well, you're going to love Homecoming, because don't even watch the Andrew Garfield ones, because you'll watch them and it doesn't go anywhere. So it's like, you know, watching an Alvin Alvarez. It's like watching an Alvin Alvarez match or listening to Alvin Alvarez promo. It has no meaning. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay? Just what you're going to do is watch the Homecoming one, and you'll love it. Because Michael Keaton in the Homecoming one as the Vulture, fantastic. Stole the show.
I will have to check that out now.
Keep an eye out. I have to watch that. I'm excited for the new Thor coming out. Just saying.
Of course you are.
Of course
you are. Yes, that's right. That's my favorite.
Oh, yeah, because it's Chris Hemsworth. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, actually, you know who actually looks like Chris Hemsworth? Brian Vitko. Remember Brian Vitko? Mr. E and Mr. Entertainment himself, NYWC? He looks like Chris Hemsworth.
I remember. No, he does not.
Yes,
I'm not guy, but no.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. You know who looks like Jason Momoa? The guy's playing Aquaman? David Starr. If David Starr shaves the beard or grows it long to match David Moore and have long hair, they have the same facial structure. They look very similar.
Okay, see, that one I can give you because it's not Chris Hemsworth.
Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, boy. I had a feeling we were going to get Chris Hemsworth in this because I'm like, once you talk about that, I'm like, oh, here comes Thor, and there it is. Yes, so yes.
Yep, that's right.
Well, Thor's great. I do enjoy me some Thor too. Thor's good stuff. I will say.
I know he's gonna die off soon, but.
Excuse me. Who's booked this crap? Vince Russo? Thor's not gonna die. Come on now.
Oh.
I heard they're gonna kill Thor off. Cause the.
Well, you know what I heard? No, he's not. Listen, you're talking to someone who knows comics. Now Jane Foster Thor. She's a girl Thor. He's not Thor anymore. He's not worthy to. Yeah, he hasn't been Thor for a while. Now it's a girl Thor. Barbara went down the SJW, the social justice warrior route, where they diversified everything. They made a Hulk Korean. They killed off Bruce Banner, and the Hulk's a Korean guy now. And Captain America for a while was the Falcon, which was pretty cool if you ask me. And he was Captain America. And Steve Rogers, the soldier serum came out of his system somehow, and he ended up, age caught up with him. He was like a 92-year-old man, you know, and then all of a sudden he came back into his system somehow. I don't know, I haven't read the storyline. And then he was a Nazi, you know, he was really working for Hydra, or something happened. Everyone got their panties in a bunch, you know, and then Thor became a chick. She has boobs now, and it's Jane Foster. And instead of making new characters, they just messed up the old characters. And like Iron Man's not Tony Stark anymore. It's a black girl named Riri Johnson or something like that, and she's called Iron Heart. And Doctor Doom also took over the Iron Man mantle, and there's two Iron Men, and he's trying to be like Iron Man now, or something like that. So it basically over analyzed everything, and they just called too many spots and just blew every spot, if you ask me. Instead of making new characters like they did with Venom and Carnage and Gambit and all these other guys in the 90s, and Cable and Deadpool, instead of making new characters, they're basically changing all the old characters. And no one wants to see change because everyone loves the old characters. So that's where they messed up. But DC, on the other hand, right now they did this gimmick called Rebirth. About 5 years ago, they did something called the New 52 Universe. They revamped their whole entire universe. And for the most part, a lot of people were negative on it because Superman wasn't a Boy Scout anymore, and people like Batgirl, who was Barbara Gordon. She was paralyzed because of the Joker, and she was called Oracle and was working behind a computer and helping Batman, but somehow she became Batgirl again and all this stuff, and people were upset. So they just did this whole revamp of a revamp called Rebirth, where they try to fix all the glitches from the 52 universe, and they incorporated this other thing called this other group of heroes called the Watchmen, another universe, side universe into it. So they're doing a lot better with their heroes, comic-wise. But movie-wise, Marvel still has still running the game while DC is trying to catch up. But who knows? We'll see what happens with Justice League. Anyway, enough talking about my dad. I feel bad.
Oh, please.
I feel bad. All these long-winded.
You guys were fine. I was enjoying that conversation. That was sweet. I love comic books too, so please. Andrew Garfield, as far as I know, he did well in the first one, but I have to say I did enjoy him in The Social Network. I thought he really did shine in that movie.
Listen, if you want to see a great Andrew Garfield movie, Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge? Okay. I will check that out.
I guarantee you will be at the edge of your couch watching that movie the whole time. Fantastic movie. One of the best movies I've ever seen.
Speaking of movies, so apparently there is a biopic coming out about one Vince McMahon called Pandemonium. Did you hear who they are talking about putting in the role as one Vince McMahon?
No, who?
Bradley Cooper.
Oh.
Really?
Okay.
Yep.
That's,
I
like Bradley Cooper.
I do too.
I think Bradley Cooper would make a good Joker, but that's just me. But I don't know, man. I can't see anyone playing Vince McMahon other than Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
But it could work. It could. But then Bradley Cooper would have to either start hitting the gas and start working out and getting into Vince McMahon shape. Not saying that Vince McMahon hits the gas, but fuck it, yeah, he hits the gas. Come on. But yeah, he's gonna have to get into shape. I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is.
True that. So, as far as music talk, as we were talking about before, I did actually have an old commercial because, Britt, as we do on this show, I take it back with some commercials from the 90s or just in pop culture realm. I have to ask you guys, back in the day, I used to get my CDs from this particular website. Guys recall Columbia House back in the day? Get your CDs from Columbia House. Looking through the catalogs.
Yeah, did you get one for like a penny, and then you have to pay like the extra amount for the other ones or something like that?
Yeah, that was.
Or get one for $1.
Yeah, that was the gist of it back in the day. Yes, you're correct. So what I did was I did some searching, as I like to do with these old stuff. So I do have the commercial from the '90s Columbia House. So I'd like to just play that very briefly here, and then we'll keep going. So here's a commercial from back in the '90s, 1997 to be exact. So here we go for Columbia House.
Webs. This kind gets you through big puddles. This lets you shop at home for CDs. It's new from Columbia House. 24 hours a day. Browse our website, search by artist or song title, then order. Watch your mail and connect with the future in music. Collections. Some people collect rocks or rock country. Columbia House lets you choose from over 10,000 CDs. Take 11 CDs today and build an awesome collection of music. Check your mail or newspaper and connect with the future in music.
So yeah, that was the old Columbia House back in the day, that gimmick. So yeah, just good stuff from back in the day, man. Oh my god. And I also used to have
when people used to buy CDs.
Oh, speaking of stuff, I also did find another one. Do you guys remember the old hit clips that they used to have back in the day before like the iPods and all that stuff?
Yes.
Oh my god, hit clips. Britt, did you have the hit clips back in the day?
I believe I had like 2 of them.
Oh my god, we get to put like a sample of the song and stuff. My god, but yeah, like I said, before we had the iPods, before we had this and that, I remember used to have my my CD players and stuff. But yeah, so the other commercial I'll just play quickly is we have the Hit Clips commercial from 1999. Here we go.
Coming at you right between the ears is Hit Clips music. Chicken chicken Hit Clips is a slick micro audio system. This type package is small, pumps out monster sound. Breaks down like this. We clip, 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 and sample songs so only the grooves. Plus with the micro boombox, loads of mother loads. Some of these songs available now. War this fall, you can collect them all.
separately.
So some songs featured in that commercial was "It Happens Every Time" by one and only Dream Street. We had Faith Hill's "The Way You Love Me," where she's in the diner. There's NSYNC, "It's Gonna Be Me," and "Oops, I Did It Again" by Britney Spears. So yeah, that's what you had back in the day with the hit clips.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. Yeah. So we also had movies come out. We have Happy Death Day. There's going to be one about the snowman. Britt, what are some of your movies that we're looking forward towards for Halloween this month?
Yeah, I definitely want to see the Happy Death Day. That looks like a good one. I think we talked about it the last time. They always do Christmas movies like that, so it's exciting that they're doing something like that with horror. And I've been on a whole horror kick lately. I've been watching tons of different movies. I just recently watched Escape Room, and that was so good. And terrifying, because now I always wanted to go to one. Now I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm really not afraid of like horror movies at all, but that kind of freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Papadon, what are you looking forward to as far as movies Halloween-wise, my dude?
To be honest with you, nothing really. Nothing. I mean, the next big movie I'm looking to see is Thor, Ragnarok, and then I want to see Justice League, and obviously the mother load is all in December, Star Wars Episode 8.
Yes.
But this other one, what is it? This Groundhog Day meets horror thing. It looks interesting, with the blonde girl getting killed every day of her life or whatever. It looked pretty. Happy Death Day, I think it was, right?
Yep.
That's what you guys said?
That's what I meant, Happy Death Day.
So, it looks all right. I mean, it doesn't look bad at all. But I won't pay to go see it. I'm very... I mean, the last movie I saw, I took my kids to go see was that Lego Ninjago. And that was okay for them. I mean, they loved it, but whatever. I still didn't get a chance to see The Last Planet of the Apes, so I want to see that. So as soon as I can, get 2 minutes to myself, I want to watch that.
So I will say this, as we're all talking here, just shooting the breeze here. Pop, I think you and I are in agreement on movie stuff, because when it comes to movies, I think I just don't go anymore. Number one, because I'll just wait till it comes on DVD, or I'll just watch it on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really just don't want to have the urge to go out, see a movie anymore. I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, no, I love going to the movies. Going to the movies is an experience that's almost like going to a wrestling show, looking that you can't replicate it. The only problem is it's expensive.
Yeah.
So you can't go to every movie that you want to go see. But at the same time, like for certain movies, like the 3 movies I just said, I'm definitely going to go see them. And I'm going to go see them opening night, probably. I saw episode 7 like at 2 a.m. in the morning. So I'll probably do the same thing again with episode 8. Thursday night when it comes out, I'll be, I actually got to go on Fandango and try to get my tickets or whatever. But I'll be there, and I'll probably go see it 3 or 4 times. But, I mean, it's not like every week there's a movie that I want to see. That's the issue. You know what I mean? It's not like that anymore. Back in the day when I grew up in Rosedale, Queens. I used to sneak into the theater every week and see 2-3 movies. Now you can't even sneak in. Well, it's not even there anymore. But, it's not even that. I don't even want to see it anymore. It's like, so the movies come out and you're like, I don't want to even watch that. That looks like trash. Or, that looks similar to this movie. And there's so many reboots and so many, like they're making Scarface over again. Who the fuck wants to see a remake of Scarface?
What the fuck is that shit? Come on. Who wants, yeah.
It's just, I mean, granted, Scarface originally was a remake of a 1932 film called Scarface that was about Al Capone, but it's a cult classic now. Now I heard they're also going to want to remake The Godfather and have Johnny Depp play the Marlon Brando role, which is cool. I like Johnny Depp, but you don't remake that thing. You don't remake The Godfather. You don't remake, The Wizard of Oz. You don't remake Star Wars. There's certain movies that come out, they should never get remade at all. I mean, look at Point Break. That's a movie you don't remake. You try to remake it, and it's shit the bed. Point Break is like Papadon, and the Point Break remake was like Alvin Alvarez. It was just a shit.
So yeah, go ahead.
Like Roadhouse. They're remaking Roadhouse, but now they're making it with a girl, with Ronda Rousey. She's playing the Patrick Swayze.
I heard, yeah.
Role. Which is a cool take, but why call it Roadhouse? Call it something else. Look at Jumanji. This new Jumanji movie they're making with The Rock. I saw the coming attractions. It looks fantastic. But it's not a remake. It's 20 years later or 30 years later from the original movie, and it has nothing to do with the first movie except for the fact that it's just a continuation of the Jumanji gimmick. But it's different, but yet it's not. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool. Like, I'm not a big Star Trek guy, and I know my co-hosts on the Conspiracy Horseman podcast, Stevie Richards and Big Sal, are diehard Star Trek guys, and we always argue what's better, Star Trek or Star Wars. But there's Star Trek remakes that just recently came out in the theaters. Those 3 movies by what's his name? What's his name? The dude who did Star Wars Episode 7. JJ, what's his name? Abrams, right?
Yeah, Abrams.
JJ Abrams. Yeah, he did those. They were fantastic, and they weren't remakes. They was just the way he had it set up in the movies. It ended up being like he was an alternate dimension. So it was a new take on it with the same characters, but it wasn't a remake. You know what I'm saying? So it was done right. It made sense, and it was good because it was a fresh start for a new generation of people to latch onto, and it was cool. It was different. But you know, all these movies now being remade and all these reboots. Like you guys said, Spider-Man got rebooted 2 times in a matter of 5 years. People got tired of seeing, the same thing over and over again. Like that first the first Andrew Garfield movie was just like the first Tobey Maguire movie, because it was a remake and it just told the origin story. We know how Spider-Man became Spider-Man. We don't need to see it again. James Bond, they have 25 James Bond films, right? So many people have played James Bond over the years. But every film is not a reboot or a remake of the origin story, or whatever the case may be. It's its own story. So that's what I think people should realize. They just need to make something new, make something fresh. If they were to come out tomorrow and do the NWO over again, it would suck because their NWO already happened. You know what I'm saying? You can't make it again. It's already done deal. So it's just like the Horseman. You can't make the Horseman again. It's already happened. You need to make something different, something fresh, something new. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Well, one thing that they were raving about is, I know my best friend Steve saw it, friggin' Blade Runner. They just did another Blade Runner with Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford.
Yeah, but that was a sequel.
Yeah, but
it wasn't a remake.
I know, but still, I know everybody was raving about the Blade Runner because it's from back and then they just did it now. I heard Blade Runner was good. I'm just trying to think like some of the new stuff that's out now. I know Blade Runner is like the biggest one that's out right now.
Well, yeah. And to be honest with you, I totally forgot it was out, and I want to see it, but I'm not going to go pay to see it. I'll wait to go see it. You know what I mean? I wasn't a big Blade Runner guy. Mm-hmm. I seen the movie, the first one. It was great. Wasn't bad, but it didn't basically move the needle for me to the point where I want to go see it. Like Pirates of the Caribbean when it first came out. Mm-hmm. People were like, how are you going to make a movie about a ride? Well, Johnny Depp stole the show, and fucking it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. 2, 3, or 4 was wax, but the new one that just came out like a year ago or 6 months ago was fantastic. It was the best one since the first one. So, you got to make something new. The Lego movie, Lego Batman was fantastic. Even the first Lego movie was great. Who the hell knew? How do you know you're going to make a movie about Legos and actually make it entertaining? But it was great. Mm-hmm. So Lord and Miller hit a home run with it. Now we're going to have a remake of the Lego movie 10 years from now? I hope not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh, my God. So, all right. I'm going to say this just because we talked about it last podcast, Britt, but I got to tell Papadon this, and I think you'll get a chuckle out of this, Pop. So, as we all know on this show, one Brittany Savage is a huge Backstreet Boys fan, and I'm going to go back to this because it was funny, and I still have it on my audio clips. It was hilarious. So, when we had Randy Summers on the show, we were going through some Backstreet Boys CDs, and Brittany was getting it right after right, and you know where I'm going with this, Britt. So we get to one song she doesn't know. It's No One Else Comes Close. It's on the Millennium CD, right? And which is a cover of the Joe Thomas hit single from the 90s. And when Brittany Savage was like, gives a little toot about it, and she goes, well, I didn't like that song. And I'm like, well, why don't you just tell us how you feel about it, Britt? Fuck that song. Fuck No One Else Comes Close. Fuck you and anybody who else likes that song. I don't even know why the fuck they made that song. I'm like, you do realize it's not that serious, but okay, if you want to be that way, be that way. So that was just one of the most funniest things, just flipping out on a Backstreet Boys song. So still one of the best audios on this show was you flipping out over the Backstreet Boys.
Never gonna live that down.
You will never live it down because it was tremendous.
I just can't. I can't believe that what's his name, Randy Summers got booked on your show before I did.
We're gonna go back to that.
Funny.
Sorry. Yes.
Jesus Christ. Now you know the world's coming to an end. They're letting girls in the Boy Scouts. Cats are playing with dogs. Randy Summers is getting booked before Papadon. That's it. And first the Fat Boys break up, and now this.
First the Fat Boys break up. I love it. Oh man, the Fat Boys were awesome. Oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, that's another thing there. Like Joe Thomas is great in the R&B scene. You even look at like music now in the R&B scene. Like R&B, it's just like not the same it was back in the 90s. Like I'm saying, just you know what I'm saying? Just everything, just bleh. And I don't mean to be like that, but just it just pisses me off. Millennials, man, ruining it.
Well, listen.
Good.
Yeah, millennials do ruin everything. They all have a sense of entitlement. No one wants to work hard. You know, everyone thinks they owe something. I mean, what's his name? The guy you had on the show, what's his name? I just forgot his name. Damn it.
Randy Summers?
Randy?
Yes, Randy Summers. He thinks Drake is the greatest rapper of all time.
I know, yeah.
That's who you put on your show before you put me on to think he's the greatest rapper of all time. Do you see the problem with that right then and there? You see the idiocracy?
Oh.
How do you say Drake is the greatest rapper of all time? That's stupid.
Wait a minute. He's not the only one who said it. Fucking LeVar Ball's kid said Drake is the... He said Drake is better than Nas.
He's an idiot.
Yes.
Put it this way, if there was no Nas, there'd be no Drake.
Exactly. I mean, Nas with your Illmatic, your Stillmatic, You Owe Me featuring Genuine, Hate Me Now, But I Won't Stop Now with Puff Daddy. I mean, come on, One Mic. Nas is the shit.
Yeah, man. And if there was no Cool Herc, there was no KRS-One, there'd be no Nas. You know what I'm saying? If there was no Cool G Rap, there'd be no Nas. No Big Daddy Kane, there'd be no Nas. If there wasn't no Sugar Hill Gang, there'd be no Big Daddy Kane. There'd be no Cool G Rap. There'd be no KRS-One. I mean, you gotta respect the pioneers and the people who came before you. Hell, if it wasn't for the Greeks, there'd be no music. So you guys all owe it to the Greeks. There you go.
Speaking, because I mentioned Eminem before, because Eminem, when he started, you know, he had his big break in '99 with the Slim Shady LP, and then the Marshall Mathers LP, the Eminem Show, Encore, blah blah blah, you know, etc. The list goes on and on. He just did a little bit of story made news, you know, dissing our Presidente, won Donald Trump at the BET Hip Hop Awards. Papadon, did you see any of that?
Yeah, I did. I saw it. And listen, you know what? This is America. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But the problem is, an opinion's like an asshole. Everyone has it, and sometimes it stinks. You know what I'm saying? I voted for Trump. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Okay.
I think Hillary is the incarnation of evil straight out. And she's a fucking carny, and she's a worker, and she's bad at it. And that's why she didn't win the free election. She's a piece of shit, if you ask me. Her husband, her alleged campaign manager, who's a fucking boy toucher, John Podesta. The list goes on and on. But point is, you know, he was the lesser of two evils in my eyes. That's why I voted for him. Now, if the Democrats... Now, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I just think who's best for the country. And let's face it, Bush screwed up the country to begin with. So whoever inherited Bush's mess, whether it was Obama, whether it was freaking Helen Keller, it wouldn't matter, okay? Jesus Christ could have been the president of the United States after Bush, and he would have got booed off the stage by half of America because the country was such disarray, and economically, socially, whatever the case may be. And, you know, and nobody could have been able to clean up that mess in 8 years. Nobody. Now, Trump comes along, and people hate him, and people are entitled to hate him. I'm not mad at Eminem for saying what he said. He's entitled to say it. Just like these people who are kneeling during the national anthem. I think it's stupid, okay, but they're entitled to their right to protest. It's called the First Amendment. And anyone who's getting mad at these people for doing it is ridiculous because you're protesting their protest. So you're basically, you know, negating the whole argument to begin with because you're upset at them and protesting them because they're protesting something, whatever the case may be. Now, Colin Kaepernick, who started this whole mess, he was protesting it because he felt black people were oppressed. This is coming from somebody who was raised by two rich white people, who was adopted by a white family, and never had a hard day in his fucking life. And it's the same guy who also wore police officer socks with pigs on them, representing the police officers. And, that was fine, by the NFL standards. But when someone wanted to wear 9/11 stuff, and to remember the fallen people of 9/11, the NFL said no. And what a lot of people don't know about the NFL is they were getting paid. They were getting paid for people, paid by the CIA and the government to have the national anthem played before and have the people stand, the teams come out and stand for the national anthem to show patriotism. So paid patriotism isn't really patriotism, because before the early 2000s, what happened was the teams would stand in the locker room, they'd play the national anthem, and people would stand up in the stands, and then the teams would come out. But then someone had the bright idea saying, you know what? Maybe we need to get patriotism back into this country. If they see the team standing for the national anthem, we pay them. We pay the NFL for this patriotism, which is documented. It's not a conspiracy theory. So the CIA, the FBI, the U.S. government paid these teams a plethora of money for them, an abundance of funds for them to work the crowd and getting patriotism going again, so they can basically get people to feel good about themselves, so they can enlist in the army and the armed forces, so they can have bodies for their wars. And that's exactly what's going on. It's one big giant play. Now, I know this sounds like a big conspiracy theory, but it's not. Because if you really have to pay someone to stand for the national anthem, what are you really doing? Is that person getting paid and accepting a check to stand for the national anthem a patriot? No, he should be standing for the national anthem for free. And if this guy wants to protest, great, do it. Protest your heart out, whatever the case may be. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, it's also in bad taste. And it's in poor taste. Because there's a time and place to protest, and I don't agree if that's the right time or the right place, in my opinion. Do I hate him for it? No, because I don't hate anybody. Because in the grand scheme of things, everyone's fighting, again, like I said before, the powers that be, the bookers, they want the people to fight amongst each other, because a house divided can't stand. Just like in wrestling. People say that it's always the boys versus the office. Why? Because the office knows that the boys are trying to snake each other out for the top spot, then no one can trust anybody, and everyone's going to be all right. And the office realizes that they will never know that they have the power. Because let's face it, without the boys, you won't have a show. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the United States. The government works for us. They get paid through our tax dollars. We elect them into office. It says in the Constitution that if the government doesn't live up to its end, that we have the right to throw them out of office and stand up to the government and fight them. But a lot of people don't realize that, because they're too blinded and distracted by the Kardashians and all the bullshit that's on TV and this thing with the national anthem, because that's all it is. It's a giant distraction. Because if they really realize what's really going on, and that they want people to fight the wars for these bankers, because at the end of the day, the number one export the United States have is war. We're a war-mongering country that only makes money off of war. We don't make products anymore. We get them from China. We don't export as much as we used to, and we outsource all our jobs, because the corporations only care about their bottom line. They don't care about people and their families. So what happens? Corporations outsource everything, so people don't have jobs. Then they go on welfare, and they get government aid. So our taxes go up to support the poor, and then the middle class starts to get vanished, and then you have two things. You have the rich, you have the poor. Again, a two-feeder system. You have black, you have white. You have red, you have blue. Democrats, Republicans. Sith, Jedi. Everything's always good, evil. Everything's always divided into two for a reason. I'm sorry, I'm going into a big rant. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Pop, that was really good. That was really good. No, please. We both enjoyed that. One thing I do have to ask you, dude, is we mentioned many names. We've talked about many things with pop culture, wrestling wise. We mentioned Cornette. I got to ask you about one thing. You did mention who booked this shit, Vince Russo. First of all, I was not really a big Vince Russo fan either. The problem with Vince Russo is one thing that really pissed me off. as far as it goes with, I've always talked about, I'm a big fan of how women's wrestling has evolved. I think there's a lot of great women's wrestling athletes on the independents. I think there's a lot of great women's wrestling athletes just all over the world. The problem with him is I hear him and that Jeff Lane there talking about, if these girls wouldn't be getting hurt if this was back in the bra and panties days, which, don't get me wrong, as a male, from a physical attraction standpoint, that's great. But, there's more to that than that. They have to be able to, work and the ability in the ring. So, thoughts on how women's wrestling has evolved, Papadon, and just your thought on intergender wrestling, how that's also been taken over.
Well, as far as women's wrestling, I'm glad we're at that today because, as a father of 2 daughters, that whole bra and panty and all that bullshit, that's not right. Mm-hmm. No man should ever demoralize or degrade a woman, because it's not right. Plain and simple. I mean, don't get me wrong. Men say things, locker room banter and all that talk, bullshit, yeah. And people talk about all different things behind closed doors. No one's a saint. But as far as the wrestling game goes, and as far as women should have every right that men should have. Plain and simple. But the only thing is, it's science. Men are always going to be stronger than women, and that's just pure science. That's not being sexist. That's not being anti-feminist. That's the way it is. So I think women should wrestle different than men to fit how a woman is. Like, you shouldn't see a woman, no matter who it is, throwing a man around, unless the man is like 60 pounds soaking wet with bricks in his pockets and the woman's China. Then that makes sense. You know what I mean? But as far as I'm glad women wrestling is where it is right now because women are great athletes. Just because they don't have a penis doesn't mean they can't be a great athlete. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad, like Charlotte Flair and the 4 Horsewomen from NXT, Bayley, and all the rest of them, even Natty Neidhart and Beth Phoenix and Lita and Trish Stratus and Mickie James, one of the greatest women wrestlers of all time. I'm glad they were able to stand out and were pioneers before this whole women revolution thing because, let's face it, women can fight. Look at Ronda Rousey. She's one of the biggest money makers of all time, and she's a woman, if you haven't noticed. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that, it is what it is. But as far as intergender wrestling goes, as far as comedy goes, it could work. Mm-hmm. As far as reality goes, it's not my flavor of ice cream. Now, if someone wants to pay me to do it, I mean, I've been in an intergender match before. It was myself and Chingusa, legendary Japanese woman wrestler, versus Tanahashi, who now goes by the name Evil in New Japan, mm-hmm. and one of Chingusa's students for Marvelous, who were the main event for their first show. And it was a mixed tag match, and and we did it correct. The girls fought the girls, guys fought the guys, and that's it. And it made sense perfectly only because, number one, having a girl throw me around isn't believable in my eyes. Plain and simply put. Even if it's Ronda Rousey, it wouldn't work in my eyes. Now, if I had Chingusa throw around Evil, that wouldn't look right either. So we made sure that we made it look believable. Okay? And just to call one spot, what was it? I forgot the spot. I got German suplex, but I held on to the ropes before I got German suplex, and the person on the apron gave me a shot, and I sold it real quick, and I let go of the ropes, and then they German suplexed me. Now, I can't remember if it was the girl giving me a German suplex, and Watanabe hit me with a punch off the apron, and I sold that, and that's why she was able to German suplex me, and it made sense, or it was the other way around. But it made sense. And, Mick Foley was there. He watched the whole match because he's friends with Chingusa, and he's like, that was one of the best intergender matches I've ever seen. And he, that means a lot to me coming from Mick Foley. He's been around. He's an icon. So if it's done right, it's done right. But if it's just done to be done, and that's anything in professional wrestling, even steel cage matches, it doesn't make sense to have a steel cage match if there's no meaning behind it. You have to have a build-up where people keep interfering in the matches, and then you put the cage in to keep people out. That's why you have a steel cage match. Not to have, you know what I'm saying? Everything needs to make sense, I tell kids all the time when they come train at NYWC, and Britt she can testify. Everything you do in your match needs to have meaning. Whether you take one step to the left or one step to that right. That one step needs to have meaning why it was done. You don't do things in the ring just to do them, because then it loses its appeal and it loses its connections with the fans. You want to get the fans emotionally invested in what you're doing because you're telling a story without words. If you're just doing things to do them because you think it looks cool and you're moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, people are not going to be able to digest what you're doing, and you're not going to get a reaction. Ric Flair had 6 moves. He had a 50-year career, but he had people at the edge of their seats, and he had people believing that the guy he was wrestling was going to beat him for that belt night in and night out, and twice on Sunday. You know, there's a science and there's an art to it, and if it's done right, because it's really common sense when you break everything down, then it's done well. Same thing with intergender wrestling. It can be done if it's done correctly. If it's just done because you threw 2 guys and a girl in a match, or you know, in a 6-man, or a guy versus a girl just to have a match, then it's horrible. I mean, let's face it. If a guy 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, right, punches a girl 5'3", 120 pounds in the face, and the girl gets back up and runs a spot, what does the guy's punch mean? Does it have any meaning? No. It means he can't punch. It means his punch is weak. Am I wrong or am I right?
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always right, bro. Just don't tell my wife that.
Well, Papadon, I have a couple more final questions here. And first of all, dude, please, it's an absolute pleasure having you on. We look forward to having you back. And Brittany, I always say to you, thank you for just lining them up. I appreciate it, as always.
No problem.
Yeah,
Just don't book Randy Summers before you book me again.
no, I'll make a note of that. Yeah, I'll make a note. Thank you. So, I talked with Britt about this on the last edition that her and I did. Dude, I got to get your thoughts on the Sexy Star situation with her and Rosemary that happened in Mexico.
No, from what I understand and what I heard, she got pissed in the match and she took liberties on the other wrestler.
Correct.
You never do that. Ever do that. You're not a tough girl. You're not a tough guy. Taking advantage of someone giving you their body. It's dead wrong. It's a cardinal sin. So I don't know the story behind it. I don't know why she lost her cool. I don't know what occurred, but you just don't do that. Plain and simply put. If there's an issue, you settle it afterwards. In the ring, dollar bell, it's all business. You know why? Because if a real fight breaks out and it looks real, then everything else before and after it looks phony. That's why you don't have stuff like a shoot fight on the same card with a wrestling fight. Because if you have 2 guys in a shoot fight, go for 3 minutes and they're all huffing and puffing and their eyes are all swollen and cut up, and then you have a 20-minute wrestling match and the guys aren't cut up and they're not bleeding, something's wrong. One doesn't agree with the other. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's something you just don't do. If you're working with someone and someone gives you their trust, you don't betray that trust and go into business for yourself. It's just dead wrong. Now, I've met Sexy Star. She seemed like a nice person, whatever. I mean, we did a show in Florida together. I only met her once. I don't know her. But point being is, I don't know what happened before or after the match. I don't know if there was heat between the 2 individuals, but you just don't do that. I mean, granted, there's times when someone stiffs you in the ring, you stiff them back. It's called a receipt. It happens. And if you don't do it, then you're an idiot. If you let the guy just take liberties on you and you tell him stop and he doesn't stop, you got to give him one back so this guy can learn his lesson and say, oh, shit, this guy. Because there's some people, unfortunately, get off on that. They get off on throwing people around and smacking them around and just being a dick in the ring. And that's uncalled for. It's unprofessional. And no one wins in that instance. Because if you squash somebody and you just beat them, the holy hell out of them, the people watching are going to lose any sympathy factor for one of the competitors. And what's going to happen? Who did you just beat? Nobody. So you just wasted your time. So what did you just do for the business? What did you just do for yourself and your opponent? Nothing. Anyone who goes into a match looking to get themselves over before getting their opponents over is in the wrong frame of mind. Your job is to get your opponent over first. Then your job is to get the match over, storyline over, angle over, whatever. And the third and last thing you're supposed to do is get yourself over. That's the way it goes, plain and simply put. You know, if people always, I got to get my shit in. That's the kiss of death. That's when you walk away and say, all right, man, I'll see you out there. We'll walk and talk. And that's when the veteran takes control of the situation. I can't tell you how many times people come up to me or any other veteran and ask them for advice, and they give you the advice, and they go back and they do the same thing over and over and over again. And it's like, then why the fuck did you ask me for your advice? What did you want to hear? Did you want to hear what you didn't do right? Or you just wanted me to tell you how good you are so you could stroke your dick and your ego and you could be all rah, rah, look at me. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. She shouldn't have never done that, to be honest with you. No one should ever take liberties in the ring. Plain and simply put.
Exactly. So, Papadon, anybody who wants to get
Yes.
in the wrestling industry, final words, please. Any advice to anybody who wants to get there? Anyone who wants to come down to NYWC? I'm going to put the website in the description below the audio for anybody who wants to come on down in the Long Island area. Please, any final advice to anybody who wants to get in the ring?
Sure. If you're looking to make a business out of professional wrestling, don't. No, I'm just kidding. Be serious about it. Be very serious about it. And this is what I'm going to tell you. It's not something you turn on and off. Being a professional wrestler is a lifestyle. It's not something you just turn on and off. It's not. If you're doing it as a hobby, that's cool. I can't knock you for it. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lifestyle. Meaning that you got to look the part. You got to look like an athlete. You got to eat like an athlete. You got to train like an athlete. You know what I'm saying? You want to stand out in the crowd. You want people to look at you, and you got to look like a star and act like a star. You know, don't believe you are a star because you really are not a star, because you're not really making millions upon millions John Cena money to be considered a star. You're just getting your feet in the water before you go for a swim.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, respect the people in the business. Keep your mouth shut and your ears and eyes open. Learn the history of the business. Learn who came before you, and find out who paved the way, and pay homage and show respect. Be kind to everybody, and treat others how you would treat yourself. You want yourself treated. Don't treat others like a dick if you want people to treat you back with respect. It's a two-way street, okay? And just respect, and to the fans out there, respect and support good independent wrestling companies like NYWC, good independent wrestling schools like NYWC and Creative Pro, just to mention two here in New York. You know what I'm saying? And respect good independent wrestlers. Buy their merchandise, buy their 8x10s, their shirts. Don't just walk by them and say, hey man, good match tonight, good performance. Because we can't pay our bills with your good performance. We can't buy ourselves dinner or pay for our tolls and gas to go back home with knowing that John Smith in fucking Boise, Idaho thinks I'm a good wrestler. Show support. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simply put. Now, with that being said, if you want to go back and show support to the Greek god, you can find me on Twitter under Greek God Papadon. You can find me on Facebook under Demetrius Papadon or Greek God Papadon. You can find me at Pro Wrestling Tees at Pro Wrestling Tees / Greek God Papadon. We have a Conspiracy Horseman podcast. You can find it at Podbean or iTunes. And the Conspiracy Horseman podcast are just four wrestlers being free thinkers and finding out and doing research and talking truth on certain situations that you may not even know about. 9/11, JFK, the Las Vegas shooting, Operation Northwoods. We just did a show on Sandy Hook, you know, and it behooves me to think how many people today, with the information the access that we have at our fingertips, are asleep and not realize that we're being lied to, we're being duped, and that everything on TV is a work. Everything on TV is a work. From the commercials to the shows to the news to reality TV, everything is a work. 6 companies in this world own the news. 10 companies own all the food corporations in this world. And these same 10 companies are linked to the same 6 companies who own the media, who own the news. They're just telling you what they want you to hear. Open up your eyes and wake up.
All right. And Miss Savage, please promote your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The floor is yours.
I'm so bad at this. All right.
All right, I'll help you out again if you need it.
Yes, 'cause I can never get it right. I have way too many. So Facebook is Brittany Savage. Instagram is Brittany Savage, right? I think so.
The Brittany Savage.
And Twitter. Yes, thank you. And
welcome.
Twitter. Do you know what that is? Because I have no idea.
At
Brittany
the
Savage?
Brittany Sav on Twitter. Follow her, please.
Thank you. Yes, that is
You're
it.
All right.
Shows how often I use that.
It's okay.
Twitter.
It's okay. No worries. So, and you can follow the Twitter that Brittany and I have here. It's at pop_culture_pod. I put a lot of stuff out here as far as, history stuff that's been coming out. Put a little photos. You got a little throwback to some Brittany Savage matches on there. The latest ones I put on were of her against Angel Orsini, the Prodigy herself. I put up Sue Young. I put up a lot of great Brittany Savage promos. Her and AJ Lee, known as Miss April in WSU. Some old school footage. So there's a lot of good stuff on that Twitter machine there. And please support us. SoundCloud.com/MCLarkin92. We got more of these episodes coming up on our next album reviews. We are going to be doing a 2-pack. We're going to be looking back at the Backstreet Boys' album Black and Blue, which takes a look at Shape of My Heart, The Call, and More Than That, and Aaron's Party, Come Get It from Aaron Carter, which has Aaron's Party, Bounce, That's How I Beat Shaq, and a lot of great other songs from that album, I Want Candy. And there's going to be some more stuff. Yeah, just a lot of stuff. Oh, and guess Jamie Senegal, the punk rock queen's going to come back. We're going to have Papadon before Randy Summers. I figured I'd get that in, Papadon. So we'll book Papadon.
Smart man.
Yes, book Papadon before Randy Summers. And Randy Summers for saying Drake is better than Nas. I kind of lost a little respect for Randy Summers there, but hey, it's all good. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what? You know what you can do? There's your next T-shirt. Book Papadon before Randy Summers.
Book Papadon before Randy Summers, yes. Hashtag book Papadon before Randy Summers, yes. So, yes, we're going to have a lot more to come, people. So stay tuned. Papadon, thanks very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you tonight.
Yes,
Not a
thank
problem.
you.
Real quick, thank you for having me. I really had a good time with you guys. I look forward to doing it again. But before I go, let me just say this to the people listening to this. October 21st, NYWC is having a show. On that night, I'll be smacking around Angelo Andrews, who is an up-and-coming wrestler, who I actually brought into the business because he wanted to become a pro wrestler. He came to my house. He's a mutual friend of a friend. He was a friend of a mutual friend, I'm sorry. And now he bit the hand that fed him. So now I got to smack this kid around and teach him some respect. And even though he fights for the fans, I don't care about the fans. I'm fighting for myself. So all you fans out there, come and support NYWC and come see if this kid actually has a shot. He actually thinks he's a shooter because he did a little Greco-Roman wrestling in high school and in college. He doesn't realize that's in my DNA. We invented wrestling. But I digress. Get your tickets at nywcwrestling.com. Go on NYWC on Twitter and Facebook. Support Brittany Sav. Support all your great local independent wrestlers. And if you follow this show and you come to NYWC, you come to my table, I'll give you a discount on the 8x10s and the 10 T-shirts.
Now, Papadon.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Now, Papadon, thoughts on one Crusher Dugan?
I didn't say it was a big discount, but I'll give you a discount.
Okay. Papadon, what about Crusher Dugan, man? Dugan cut a promo on you this week. Talk about the upcoming match of Angelo Andrews.
And if you want to call it a promo, yeah, fine. I mean, I call it just a minute of verbal fucking garbage. But listen, Crusher, a lot of people don't know about Crusher. Crusher was trained by Dean Malenko. Crusher is very wise when it comes to professional wrestling. I give him that. Now, here's something people don't know about Papadon. When I was in college, and this is before I went to the doghouse and got trained by Homicide, I went to Crusher Dugan had a nutrition store, vitamin store in Elmont, in Long Island. And I went to the store because that night there was a WCW house show at Nassau Coliseum. And Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit were at the store doing a signing, you know? People came by, say hi to Crusher because they were all friends. So I came in with my buddies, and I walked up to Dean, told Dean that he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and Chris is one of my favorite wrestlers, and Eddie's one of my favorite wrestlers. And that still holds true to this day. And I asked Dean to train me. And he looked at me and he goes, "How old are you, kid?" And I told him, I forgot how old I was, 20 at the time, whatever the case may be. He goes, "Are you in college?" I said, "Yeah." He told me, "Stay in school, kid." And that's when I really felt like, hey, you'll shoot your eye out moment from like Christmas Story. But Crusher always rubs it in my face, that story, and I always laugh. But see, this is the difference between that punk millennial Angelo Andrews. He came to my house one day, knocked on my door with my buddy Mario, Mr. Mario C, entertainer in his own right, and said, hey man, I want to get into pro wrestling, can you help me? And I did. When I found out Crusher was trained by Dean Malenko and I spoke to him about professional wrestling, he told me to come down to his store and try to talk to Dean. Unfortunately, Dean didn't have his school open at the time, and Dean was on the road. So that's why he didn't take me under his wing to train me. But not once in my 18 years have I ever attacked Crusher Dugan. Now, never once have I went into Crusher Dugan's face and tried to bite the hand that tried to help me originally. That's exactly what this bitch-ass punk tried to do with me after I beat Michael Orlando and I got on the mic and I told everyone that I am the greatest wrestler alive today. Now, for whatever reason, I'm not on TV making money. I don't know what it is. Maybe I pissed off the wrong people. Maybe I'm just an asshole. I don't know. But if wrestling was based on talent, I'd be there. And, you know, a lot of guys on the independents would be there, you know? So with that being said, I was just making a point, and he interrupts me and gets in my face. And lo and behold, he wants to try to test the old guard and see that he has it. But he doesn't realize that I am a fucking machine. And Britt can attest to this. Mm-hmm. I run circles around all these young guys. I'm 40 years old, man. 40 years young. 40 years old, whatever you want to say. And I feel better now today than I did when I started in wrestling when I was 22. Okay? And I'm in the better shape when I was 22. And I can last an hour in the ring without breaking a sweat, without huffing and puffing, without getting quote-unquote blown up. And these kids are in the ring for 5 minutes and they're crying for their mother. Why is that? Because they're not me. So I welcome the challenge, Angelo Andrews. You bring your punk ass and you bring your bald-headed bitch, Crusher Dugan, and I'm going to smack it back into reality. So everyone on the 21st, come and witness that. Thanks for this, man. I had a good time.
All right. So for Papadon, for Brittany Savage, we will be back in the next episodes. Everybody, thank you very much, and have a great night. Peace out.
Thank you. You too.